I mean, I thought, why not just have one of the transfers join the show and kind of talk about the process? Because, like, what is the point of all this, right? It's about acquisition of talent, but it's also about acquisition of fits and people that are going to make your program better in a lot of different ways. And
Yes.
Notre Dame especially has to really consider that. When you look at the way that they have to engage the transfer process, because you cannot ignore any method that can add talent and quality people to your program. You have to explore all of them. And so what we'll discuss today is obviously, is Notre Dame engaging it properly, but then also point to the players that are there. And then one of those is Antonio Carter,
Yes.
who recently committed to Notre Dame. Antonio, thank you, man. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me. Thank y'all. I appreciate it.
So this has been kind of a wild journey, man. It's like, less
Mhm.
than a month. Well, actually, it's a month ago today. You
Yep.
announced that you were going to go into the transfer portal after
Yes, sir.
back-to-back years as a starter at Rhode Island. Obviously, you had your 2020 season cut limited to 3 games because
Yeah.
of COVID. Which, if Power Five teams think their seasons were messed up by COVID, I say talk to an FCS player about how
Right.
COVID jacked up their seasons. But quite the ride, man. Let's just kind of begin, Antonio, and just discuss. Obviously, after 2 very successful years at Rhode Island, which is one of the best conferences at the FCS level, you decided you were going to enter your name in the transfer portal. Let's just talk about what went into that decision, and what ultimately caused you to decide that was something that you wanted to do.
Well, originally, I thought about it, um, like very soon after the season. My parents, were pushing it for sure. Some of my boys, my teammates, some of my friends who don't even play with me, they were like, "Bro, Tone, like you can do it, and you got the talent, bro. You got the film." And I was still like, trying to just be humble about it and kind of take it with a grain of salt. I'm like, man, y'all can say what y'all would like, but at the end of the day, y'all not the ones who gonna offer me or, want me on their team. So I kind of just prayed on it. I prayed on it a lot. And I was just weighing out the pros and cons, going back and forth a lot. And ultimately I decided I would do it. So that's kind of how it went.
I mean, you hear these stories about the number of kids jumping in the portal, and it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and there's just not enough spots at the FBS level for all those kids. So, to a
Right.
degree, Antonio, you kind of got to bet on yourself a little bit
Yes,
to
sir.
make that decision, especially when you're coming from that FCS level, I would imagine.
Yes, sir. Definitely, and that's why beforehand, before I did, make the decision, I just was being very transparent with the D coordinator, who was also my DB coach, and immediately when I thought about it, I had a conversation like, man, I'm thinking about it. I kind of want to get your opinion on it, and we both agreed that the best thing with me for me would be to make sure I graduate first. And you know I had a talk with the head coach, and they wanted me to stay at the end of the day. So I asked them, I said, if I do enter the portal, would y'all um allow me to come back? And once they gave me that confirmation, I was like, you know what, why not, see what's out there for me. And that's kind of how it went, and God just blessed me. So
Well, you jumped in on April 16th, I believe, is the day that you announced you were going to be in the portal. And
yes, sir.
I'm looking at your Twitter feed, and within 2 days, Virginia offers,
Mm,
Kentucky offers, Baylor offers,
yeah.
Louisville offers, SMU, West Virginia, Virginia Tech, Minnesota, Texas A&M, Georgia Tech, Oregon State, and within 3 days, Indiana, Wisconsin, Iowa. So it had to have been a relief for you, I would assume, that when you did go in and you took that leap, that kind of right away, it's like, okay, there's people that there's some programs out there that see the value that I can bring to them as a
Right.
football player.
Right. Yeah. And it was very exciting. Honestly, just, you know, I was excited, but at the same time, like I couldn't even my phone was ringing, I couldn't even take a shower at one point. I'm like, I want to make sure these coaches know I respect them, and
Mhm.
I want to give them the time of day. And because at the time I didn't know where I was gonna go, so I didn't want to act like I was too Hollywood or anything like
Mhm.
that, because that's not who I am. So yeah, it was crazy, but like I was very excited. Yeah, at one point it got very stressful, but I had to remember that, what, Tone, this is what you prayed for, and you're getting it, so handle it as such. And yeah, it was very exciting though, for sure.
So Notre Dame offered, I believe, on May 5th, right? It's a
Hmm.
couple weeks after you joined. What was the initial conversation with Notre Dame like, and what was kind of their initial pitch? What was it that kind of initiated some of that interest that you had in maybe taking your interest in Notre Dame the next step of possibly taking a visit and things along those lines?
So they had hit me up. Coach O'Leary had hit me up on Twitter. Around like April, the tail end of April, like and I gave him my number, and he told me, like I'm gonna be recruiting out there in Rhode Island. Like, I want to come see you. And originally, I'm like, man, it's kind of late in the process. Like, I don't know how much of a, how much I'm gonna really talk to them. And so I was talking to my parents, and I kind of was leaning towards one school, and my parents like, nah, like, we want you to finish the process, and that was my original plan. So I'm like, you know what, that's what I'm gonna do. Like, if it's meant for me, it'll be there at the end of the day. And I talked to him. We automatically clicked. He was pretty cool. He put me on FaceTime with Coach Freeman. FaceTime him a little bit, and I talked to my parents. I talked to another one of my coaches from like high school, and he was like, you know what, bro, like Notre Dame is a great school. Like, if I was you, like, I would go check it out. So I bumped Iowa. Say, you know what, I'm gonna go check out Notre Dame, and that's kind of how it went. And then when I got on campus, it was well.
Well, you and I talked on Friday, obviously
Hmm.
before the day before the announcement. We had a chance to sit down and talk about your decision, and the impression I got from you is it didn't take long for when you were on campus to kind of be like, yeah, this is
Right.
this is the move to make. What was it? I mean, you and I talked about it, but just share
Hmm.
with people at home about what was it about Notre Dame? Because I mean, you went to Wisconsin, they did a great job from
Hmm.
what you had said recruiting you. Ole Miss did a great job. Other schools that did a great job recruiting you. So it wasn't that you picked Notre Dame because other schools weren't doing a great job recruiting you.
Right.
There was something different. What was it about Notre Dame that made this? I won't say an easy decision, but
Hmm.
a clear decision. How about that?
Right.
A clear decision.
Really just the quality. I keep saying quality, but that's really what it was for me. Like, just the campus, it was very chill as well. Like, um, it's not too much. It's not. And I originally thought that Notre Dame had lots of students because you watch the games and there's a lot of fans and all that. And then once they told me it's only like 8,000 students, I'm like, what? Like, that's smaller than Rhode Island. But I really like that though. Like, you know, there's not many students that get this opportunity, and I can play football and get a great education as well. So that was really what stood out to me. I had to find something that was different from the rest because they all offer, a great opportunity to get the exposure, that I think I need. And there's, the great competition. So what stood out to me was I can build relationships with students and people that I can have with for the rest of my life, because even if I do make the league, what I think the average is like 3 to 5 years, and so I'll still be young after that, and there's life after that. And so that was kind of my decision. Like, man, like, if I can build connections with great people that can help me to get where I want to be, then why not do that? And so that was kind of the difference for me.
I mean, it is kind of funny you think about it. Let's say how old are you right now? You're 22.
Yep.
Let's say you're 23 when you enter the NFL. You
Hmm.
play for 10. You have a 10-year career. You're
Yeah.
33 and you're retired. I mean,
Exactly.
that's still very young. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? And so yeah, having that understanding of, hey, look, at some point in time, this is
Hmm.
going to be over. How do I use this opportunity to prepare me to have success beyond the field? And I think that that's one thing that I was really impressed by talking to you about how you it's not that you're like, well, I got 2 more years left, I'm gonna have fun. No, you'd like to play at the next level, but you
Hmm.
also understand that there's something bigger to this. And if I am
Right.
fortunate enough to make it to the next level, how do I use my degree and these opportunities to then help me use that football to then prepare me for success in whatever I choose to do down the road? So it's
Right.
very fascinating.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about football though, right? So obviously the
Hmm.
football piece of this is important. You need to go somewhere that's going to allow you to maximize the talents that you bring to the table.
Yeah.
You were a cornerback at Rhode Island,
Hmm.
a very physical and productive cornerback. I think you had 17 pass breakups the last 2 years,
Yes, sir.
and obviously very very talented run stopper. We've broken down the film, all those types of things.
Mm-hmm.
But the plan for Notre Dame is a little different, right? So
Yeah.
let's talk about what it was. What was Notre Dame's pitch, and just kind of your reaction to that pitch, and how you see yourself fitting into what they're going to ask you to do.
So really, at first it was a little iffy for me. I'm like, they got like some older safeties. Like, how am I gonna fit in there? And I realized it's like, man, wherever I go is gonna be competition. And um, the year after that, there's not gonna like a couple of them are gonna be gone, and just having the ability, like you said, I already got corner on film, and having the ability to play safety on a possible playoff team, and just showing my versatility, because I think that is what stands out for me, is the ability to, they're only seeing corner film, but a lot of these coaches are like, like, I can see him as safety,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I can do it too, because I have played a little safety, and I think it can take me far, what I'm saying, showing that I can already then play some corner. I can guard in the slot. I can roll to the post. I can come down and fill the gaps, and being able to play both safeties, I think I can do that. And also, if they need me to play some nickel or emergency corner, whatever the case may be, I think I can do it all with, just staying humble, continuing to work, and keeping God first. I think I'll be just fine. So, yeah, just being able to put safety on film at a great school like that, I think will help me a lot. So that's kind of how I decided.
So one of the issues that can happen when you transition, when you look at, okay, I'm going to take this corner and I think I'm
Hmm.
going to move into safety, is, does this guy have the physicality? Does he have the tackling ability to move to
Hmm.
safety? Because as you know, especially the way you played, you were aggressive. You'd come up, you play a lot of press. You were on the ball. They throw a bubble screen, you're on it quick, right?
Oh, yes,
As a
sir.
safety, you're coming downhill from depth. You got to be able to tackle in space. You got to have a physicality. That seems to be something you really enjoy, though, as a corner. I mean, and that
Yeah.
was the first thing that stood out to me, is like, this dude, like, brings a completely different mindset than what I'm used to seeing when I
Yes, sir.
watch corners.
Yeah.
Is that just kind of how you always been? Because I know you were like about what, $180 when you were a freshman. You're now up to
Yeah.
200 plus.
Hmm.
Let's talk about that part of your game, man, and just how you view that as something that that you take pride. It seems you take pride in it, but also how
Yes,
that
sir.
should help you transition to safety.
Um, like, really, you just see the reason I'm able to make all these tackles, because a lot of people have the idea that corners don't like to tackle, or corners can't
Mhm.
tackle, and so they have all these runs designed to one on with the corner, and here I am. All right, here we go, just making the tackles, and it's really just like, I really just enjoy it. It's something that I think is just natural for me. Like, my old coaches they would tell me, like, bro, like, even my teammates, like, they're like, bro, like, you're the best tackler I ever seen, and I'm like, it made me feel good, but at the same time, I'm like, man, they just, maybe they haven't seen a lot of people who, tackle like that. So I'm just like, man, I don't know. I think it's just natural for me. It's something I do enjoy. And as far as me, getting up to 200, it's really just, I was comparing, SEC corners, or like, I would go to different rosters, and, because I always felt like I could do it. So I'm like, man, like, when the time comes, if I end my career here, like, I want to at least have the size, you know what I'm saying? And I worked hard. I got to 190 the year before, and then I decided, why not go up to 200? And I was still moving the same. I was still moving well. So that's what played into that aspect of it, gaining weight. But yeah, I definitely do like to tackle. I think it's one of my strengths. And as I go to, play safety, I think I'll fit in just fine.
Well,
So when you talk,
Antonio, can
go ahead,
I
Ryan.
ask, because a
Hmm.
quick story for everyone. I talked to Antonio on the phone after he had got an offer by Notre Dame, and I told you on the phone, Antonio, I don't know if you remember, but
Hmm.
Jake Fire, who played linebacker
Yeah.
for Rhode
Yeah.
Island, I literally hit
Hmm.
him up. I was like, hey, man, tell me about Antonio Carter. Like, just
Hmm.
off the record, and obviously he's giving me the record to put this out there. And he was one of those guys, man, that was like, one of the best tacklers I've ever been around. I'm like, if a linebacker's telling me that, that means something, man. That really means something. So
Yes,
just a
sir.
little cool story to throw in there.
Yes, sir.
So what are the things, as you talk about making a transition? You were a mostly an outside guy last year. I mean, you'd come
Hmm.
off the edge, you'd do a lot of different things. So it's not like you're just out there on an island blocking. right? You did a lot of different things, especially this past year. I noticed that they used you a lot more on some of those triggers and coming downhill this past year,
Yes,
even
sir.
more than the year before. But when you look at it, what is, as you look at this transition, what are some of the things that you say, okay, as I make this move, these are aspects of my game that I've got to enhance or nuance or whatever the case may be to make this transition to safety, or kind of a nickel safety, just being able to be that versatile player, which is a little different than what you did at Rhode Island.
My biggest thing, like I said, I've played some safety, and I think the biggest difference is at safety, um, you have to know more, and I think it's definitely harder on your mind, but corners more difficult on your body. You got to guard these receivers and all that, but I think I would definitely have to be prepared to learn these plays and be ready to make checks and calls, but also just having field awareness, knowing where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? Getting vision on the quarterback, breaking on the ball. I think that's something that I'll definitely have to continue to work on, attacking the ball, making picks, but I know I'll just have to, keep enhancing my tackling skills. But I think making plays on the ball and going to get the ball will be definitely one of my biggest things. So.
No, that's definitely something that Notre Dame fans are going to want to hear. I put a stat out that last year Notre Dame's returning safeties, I think, had 6 pass breakups. You had 11 last year, or 10 or 11 last year. So obviously that's going to be something that's important. And of course, now being a corner, you've got more opportunities. It's a little bit different for for context, but it did show that you had a lot of playmaking ability. That's something that this secondary certainly needs. We talked football, Antonio, but I really want to kind of give people a little bit of an insight into you, because I was really fascinated by the non-football stuff that we had a chance to talk about.
Yes, sir.
So one of the things I asked you was, you talk about kids that are in your shoes where you've got this opportunity to go to the Power 5 level and the NFL is right around. You play well at Notre Dame, you got a chance to play in the National Football League and all that kind of stuff. But it was really fascinating kind of looking at the other aspects of what went into this decision and the things that you want to do when football's over. When you talk about that, whenever that time comes, whether it's a year, 2 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever, what are the things that you want to do as you look forward to what your life will be like after football and the impact that you want to have?
Hopefully just being like somewhat of a mentor. Especially nowadays, mental health is a big thing, and I feel like some people, especially where I'm from, don't have that. Although I was blessed to have it, but I know some students or some kids, have great talent, but they don't have the mentors or people to tell them right from wrong. And I feel like I was telling you, like no matter who it may be, like my friends, whether they're older or younger, they always end up coming to me somehow, or will always end up talking about some real life stuff, and they'll tell me, like, what, like, bro, like I'm not able to talk to everybody about this, but with you I feel comfortable, and I feel like I'm very personable, I think, and I'm glad. I feel like God has blessed me with that gift and that ability to, no matter who it may be, I can talk to them or feel comfortable with them. So I'm hoping that I could be a mentor um, for troubled teenagers or people who don't have that, and I feel like that's something God has blessed me with. So I'm hoping one day I could be that for someone. So.
And obviously being able to, platforms matter, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're gonna have a much bigger platform now as you kind of go from Rhode Island to Notre Dame. Does that play it all into that, or is that just like this? It's just sort of a byproduct of the fact that this is my journey for football, and yeah, it's going to have some benefits, but or was it kind of did it factor into your initial decision of maybe moving on to the Power 5 level?
How I see it is like I was thinking about I was gonna get it done regardless, I think. But like God, I'm big on my faith, and I feel like God works in mysterious ways, and I think this is maybe just another step for me to be able to do just that. You know what I'm saying? Having that, like you said, a bigger platform to do those things. I think God is setting it up for me to do that, and yeah, I think I'm gonna try to make the most of it and do what I can to continue to do what I want to do. So, yeah, I think that did play a part for sure.
I had a question. Ryan and I were talking. I asked Ryan, I said, what are some other questions that you want to ask? And Ryan had an interesting one that's always fascinating because your
Okay.
recruitment you've gone through two different recruitments, right? There was the
Right.
one that led you to Rhode Island. You're originally from Orlando, right? You're from,
Yes,
or you
sir.
Oak Ridge. I think you Oak Ridge. Isn't that where you
Yes,
played
sir.
high school ball? You're originally from Orlando and made your way to Rhode Island, a little bit of a different, a little different weather. You're
Yeah.
not going to be in South Bend, Indiana. What was the difference for you when you talk about the two recruitments? Obviously, you want just, I got to imagine it was a lot different, but what was it? What was this recruitment like for you compared to your high school recruitment?
This one was, I guess you would say, much more successful, but it was much more stressful as well. The first time around, I had a couple FBS offers. I mean, not offers, looks. Georgia State was looking at me. Boston College and Liberty. Boston College was really late in the process, like in January. And they were on the phone with me and they're like, man, we got to get you up here. Like, let's do it. Got to come get you to check out the school. And I'm excited. I'm like, what? Like, dang, like that's crazy. And so then, I talked to my head coach. I'm like, dang, I haven't heard from them. Like, what's up? And they're like, oh yeah, man, they thought you would graduate in 2020. Like, they thought you had another. I'm like, how they think that? So, and Georgia State, like they were showing interest but never pulled the trigger. And so as well as Liberty. So, um, of course I wanted to go FBS, but I went on a visit to Gardner Webb, to Fordham and Rhode Island, and I chose Rhode Island. Um, I don't know, I enjoyed it. And it was definitely, like you said, very different from this time around. Much bigger schools, a lot more people reaching out to me, but it was good for me. It was definitely a blessing, like I said, something I prayed for, and it happened. So definitely excited. I was definitely excited, and it was very different from the first time.
Yeah, I would, and the process is so much faster now. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
thing is you
exactly.
jump
Yeah,
in, you
yeah,
jump
it
in
was.
April 16th, and you got to have a decision made,
Hmm.
pretty quick, pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, Antonio, I really appreciate you joining us, man. I know it's been a wild month for you, and it's I'm
Yes, sir.
sure you're relieved, I would imagine, to kind of have this behind you and have this decision made.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Good.
sir.
So what's your plan? You're getting ready to graduate, right? When do
Hmm.
you walk? When are you done with school? When do you walk?
Walk Saturday.
Okay.
Um,
Wow.
yeah. And
Wow.
then so that's also a blessing. And just after that, I plan on just going ahead and working and trying to get ready for this next level. But I think with God I'll be just fine. So yeah.
Very good.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
do you have a report date yet for Notre Dame?
Um June 3rd, I believe. June
Okay.
3rd or June 4th, one of those days.
So you're going to jump right into it. Summer
Yes, sir.
classes and workouts and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
you're like,
Gotta
hey,
get
enjoy
some
your
running in
graduation for
these next
5
couple
minutes.
weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy your graduation for 5 minutes and then it's
Right.
ready to get to work. And then for what was it again that you plan on pursuing specifically for your degree?
um I graduated with health sciences.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna figure out, we're discussing it, me and Kenny, at Notre Dame. We're discussing what's the best situation or for me to go ahead and pursue. So I'm applying today, and then we're gonna go from there. So
All right, so Tony, what's the last thing you want to leave Notre Dame fans with when it comes to getting to know Mr. Antonio Carter, the latest pickup for the Irish in the transfer portal?
with God, all things are possible, and I'm just ready to work, and I'm excited. So I thank y'all for having me, and let's go Irish.
Antonio, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right,
Thank
buddy.
y'all.
Talk to you soon.